Other decision you're going to need to make is, will there be any enrichment subjects that you want to design into your program? A good example of this might be, how are you going to teach art? How are you going to teach music? How are you going to teach dance if you are going to teach dance? Will there be any other areas of focus where you think it's important to have someone to expose this to the children? Ideally, all of this is done right in the classroom, especially at early childhood. And ideally, it isn't just done at a specific time, a pull out, but rather it's engineered into the environment, or there are spaces that children can go to throughout the day, like a library, where there's someone there to work with the children and they leave to go to the library when they're interested. These are fundamental decisions you'll need to make. Among the programs you should anticipate having to consider would be second language instruction, music and art, movement, dance, and again, as the kids get older, it may be physical education as opposed to a generic movement program, where there's a tendency among people who are running schools to want to add in more and more and more of these extra activities because parents clearly love them. They tend to perceive them as invaluable. They'll brag about the fact their child is studying Italian. The reality is, unless you're putting in a lot of time and a lot of energy to these programs, they may or may not be doing more than giving a child a taste. But they do give your school bragging rights. So while you're looking for bragging rights, let me suggest that you remember one thing. Protect the integrity of the uninterrupted morning work cycle. Whether it's 2 hours long, 2.5 hours long, 3 hours long, part of our primary goal in Montessori is to help children to learn how to concentrate and become focused in deep work, not just simply moving quickly from thing to thing. So it's important that you don't allow the need to schedule things for different classes to interfere with the integrity of their work cycle. Why is that so important? Children's concentration is easily broken. If you say we're going to start the day by having the kids go outside for recess and bring them in at 9:30, then basically you've taken a half an hour out of the very best learning time of the day, and you've used it for that. Now, you may have started the school at 7 in the morning. Most likely, you're probably going to start between 8:30 or 9, even if some children have arrived earlier. So as you're making decisions about these programs, work hard not to overstimulate children. Don't get caught up in the sense you have to do more and more and more, because when that music program, that art program become more important than the other things that are happening within your school's Montessori program, you could have a real problem with that. And we'll talk about options that schools have used to do music and art and language education and more within the normal environment and built into the main curriculum. These are fundamental decisions you'll need to make. Among the programs you should anticipate having to consider would be second language instruction, music and art, movement, dance, and again, as the kids get older, it may be physical education as opposed to a generic movement program, where you may decide to do a program of dance for very young children, or you may decide to do brain gym or yoga. All of these are worthwhile programs. You just have to decide which ones are so important to you that it's literally going to be built into your description of what your school is.